Welcome to Just Cook It Radio, hosted by Chef Mario Pareca and Bill Alexander. Just Cook It Radio is about food, life, and everything in between. And now, your hosts of Just Cook It Radio, Mario and Bill.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are listening to Just Cook It on your local station, 590 Radio, WMBS, and also on FCTV, Channel 77, and at justcookit.tv. I am Mario Pareca. I'm here with Bill Alexander, and a half-asleep-looking Mike Sackley sitting across the... Not half-asleep, but heavy-eyed.
Half as generous, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, something really odd is happening in the studio. I mean, we talked about it, never thought it was going to happen, but we're actually cooking on a radio program. And what are we making?
Your Kraft Spaghetti, the stuff that I have yet to taste. I'm looking forward to tasting it here later in the show.
Now, if you go to our Facebook pages, the programs pages, or MBS's Facebook page, you'll see photos. And I'm honestly telling you the truth that we're cooking spaghetti in the studio. And if you watch us on Fayette TV, Channel 77 on Tuesday night, just after the House and Home show on the Herald Standard, you will see proof that we're cooking spaghetti on the radio.
And I actually just added the
secret ingredient,
the seasoning packet to our sauce here. We're going to do it a little differently since we're in a time constraint and we only have one burner.
Yeah, that's right.
So I have my induction unit here, and we got the sauce on. We got water ready to go on to cook the spaghetti. And then we'll mix it all together, and hopefully in the final segment we'll get to taste it. And I see Mike's eyes perk up.
My eyes widen every time there's food involved.
As I add the seasoning, and it smells like sauce. I mean, it's amazing.
I hope so.
Well, I don't know what to expect. This is the first time I've ever experimented with this.
This may be a new dawn of radio here, of actually cooking in studios.
If you remember when we first discussed the program, this was our intent.
I guess we did discuss doing this.
And we just couldn't, to this point, make it happen. But today it all comes together, Bill.
And then just to give everybody a heads up, next Sunday, Maria and I are going to be live at the Uniontown Mall for a TV shoot for Fayette TV's Going Live with Matt and Dave. And we're going to be cooking there. And we need suggestions on what we should make.
Yeah, please
for the show, which I guess is Thanksgiving themed, from what I understand.
It's pretty close to Thanksgiving, so yeah.
I still think we should make Kraft box spaghetti. I think that's my way to go, and we can serve it to the audience and be done with it.
That could be one of the things we make,
That's
possibly.
true, too. Never thought of that.
But, if you give us a call, not only do we want to talk about the Kraft spaghetti that we're making in studio today, let us know about other nostalgic foods you like that we can always discuss. We're going to talk about that as the program continues. And give us suggestions for what you want us to cook on the 10th. The number to call is 724-438-4593. And then if you're listening online and want to call toll-free, it's 855-590-0590.
Now, the thing is that he put the seasoning packet in, the sauce is cooking. It smells the way it did when I was a kid. I mean, that just gave me that flashback of sitting in my kitchen at home and eating this. So it smells good.
It takes you back.
It takes me back.
And that's the beauty of nostalgic foods. I mean, the senses, smell, taste, even seeing foods that you see, it takes you back. It's like when you hear a song on the radio.
Exactly.
Since we're on radio, we'll talk about that. You hear that song, it brings back feelings.
Right.
And food does the same thing.
And it smells.
Maybe even more so because there's more senses involved.
That's true, too. That is true. Because, again, watching it on the induction burner that we're cooking with right now, it smells wonderful. It really does.
Yeah, and definitely check out justcookit.tv this week if you don't. What day and time is the program going to be on FCTV?
FCTV is following the House and Home show on Tuesday night at 8. Or actually, they're on at 8. We're on about 8:30, so we follow them.
Yeah.
So you'll have proof that we're eating spaghetti on TV, and it'll also be on our YouTube page, which is justcookit.tv. One thing I wanted to bring up, and that was the Halloween parade on Wednesday night. You weren't able to be there. I was there working behind the scenes and got pulled out in front of the camera a couple times. But one of our sponsors was giving out free samples as they drove through town. And that was the Big Barn.
Were they giving out beef jerky?
Yes, they were.
Oh, that's
and you know what?
Great.
By the time they got to me, they didn't have any more.
They have like 10 different kinds of beef jerky there, and they're all really, really good. It's not that, that gas station beef jerky you think of that's like chewy and hard and old. This is actually very flavorful, and they have all different flavors, ranging from barbecue to habanero, which is a little spicy.
What was really interesting, and I want to know who's driving the van, because he was dressed up as their logo with the beard and the hat and everything else.
Maybe that was me. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't me. It would have been funny if it was.
It would have been really funny if it was. But they came through, and we had a really nice time at the parade on Wednesday night.
It's good. The Halloween parade's always something that everyone looks forward to.
And if you watch it on FCT or Fayette Television, the parade that Mario did last year has been running all month of October.
That's good.
And you've been on constantly, you and Taylor, as you were talking about Halloween candy and candy corn being thrown at you.
Yeah,
and all
at the
that
back
fun
of my head.
So I think there's still a dent in the back of that too.
There may be. It was like a Randy Johnson fastball coming at the back of my head. But so Mike, how's it smelling in here?
It's fantastic.
Doesn't it smell good?
Have you ever had this?
I don't think spaghetti in a box. I don't think I've had that before.
And speaking of spaghetti in the box, for whatever reason, but when I was looking up, doing my research for today's program and looking for other material, Kraft was like in every headline and every story. Did you see that? Were you like amazed at how much Kraft has been in the news this week?
This week, yeah. And I noticed that on a couple of things. I guess the big one was the recall the string cheese 2 weeks ago, and some of the things that were happening. But going back, and I posted a YouTube page, a video about the spaghetti. There were actually two different types. There was an American version, what did you call it, American Classic or whatever it was, and then there was the tangy Italian. And I guess that the tangy Italian was out, and they tried to add on an American version of the same thing. What would American spaghetti taste like compared to Italian spaghetti?
Well,
less spicy?
That's a tough question. I guess that's how Kraft would define it, or how. But Italian spaghetti, if you actually go to Italy and eat spaghetti, it's a whole different experience. Right. It's leaps and bounds above what we're used to here. I mean, first of all, even their dried pasta that isn't homemade is just better. I mean, the way they make their sauce, they actually layer the flavors. They start with their aromatics, which is their carrots, onions, celery. Right. They add their fresh herbs. They add their tomato product. And normally, they have fresher tomato product over there, like canned tomatoes or jarred tomatoes, or even from their garden. A lot of places will actually grow their own tomatoes, and their sauce is a lot lighter. So you won't get a plate of spaghetti in Italy that's just flooded with sauce, like soup. It's really light, just enough to coat, and it's just perfect. I mean, the garlic, the herbs, the tomato, everything's fresh, everything's great, wonderful. And I can honestly say, Italians don't eat pasta as much as you think.
Well, that's what we've been led to believe. That's right.
They do eat pasta, but they don't eat it
daily,
every day, 3 meals a day. They don't do that. But when they do eat it, and when I was in Italy, I had pasta quite a bit, just because the American tourist goes there, they want to eat pasta. And I didn't get one bad bowl of pasta.
I'm sure you did.
The whole time. I mean, I had pasta with white sauce, with seafood, because seafood's huge in Italy, because they're right where we were anyway. We were very close to the Adriatic Sea.
Okay.
So lots of fresh seafood, which is absolutely delicious, because it's very difficult, if not impossible, to get fresh seafood where we are here.
Right.
But in Italy, it was everywhere. It was fantastic. Even their pizza, leaps and bounds above, and you can buy it from street vendors in carts.
My nieces have done school trips, and they've gone there, and they've talked about going through Italy and getting pizza, and it's a totally different experience because they're not laden in sauce the way they are here.
Yeah, again, same as the spaghetti.
It's it's not that it's less flavorful, it's just not drowned in it. And as he puts the sauce in front of me right now, which I could drink that right now, to be honest with you. But it's just a different way of doing it. And you talk about the way people make sauce, and I'm just doing this as an observation, which may not be true or not. But it seems to me that most people in today's busy society, what they do is they go to their pantry and they pull a jar out, they open it up and put it in.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's a shame because you're losing all that. And you were talking about the way you layer in the flavors, and I'm thinking about when my wife makes her homemade sauce or makes lasagna. She does the same thing you do, as she does with the onions and the peppers and everything on first, and then layering everything up, and it's wonderful that way.
And that's the correct way to do it. Yeah. And that's how you develop flavor and get that deep. The different flavors.
And not only that, the house smells really good, too.
Hey,
we've got a person on the line right now. Let's go talk to Mary. Mary, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing just great. And I was listening to your program, and I have an idea. I have used it myself, and it works very well.
Okay.
You take turkey slices, and Kraft does make stuffing, do they not, or no?
Stovetop.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You mix up your stovetop stuffing the way it tells you on the box. Then you take a slice of turkey, and you take a spoonful of stuffing, and you roll it up, and you keep doing that until you get your casserole dish full, and then you pour your turkey gravy over that and pop it in the oven until it gets hot, and it's ready to eat.
It sounds good.
Turkey rolls.
Yeah.
And that's a great idea, because that is something we could make on the show, you know?
Easy to do.
Because when the normal average person, I guess, thinks of Thanksgiving, you think of the whole roasted bird and the stuffing and the mashed potatoes and the gravy. And it's just not possible to do something like that
on TV.
Well, it's possible, but
we don't have that much time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually a great idea, and that's an even better idea for leftovers the day
I was
after.
just thinking that too. That'd be a great
smother it in gravy, a little dollop of cranberry sauce on top, and you're good to go.
That's an excellent suggestion, Mary. Thank you very much.
Hey, you're quite welcome.
And you have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Hey, you need to stop out of the mall next Sunday. It's going to be at 3 o'clock. You need to see us to see what we make, okay?
I just might do that.
That sounds good.
That's good. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That actually sounds really good.
That's a
when
great
she's
idea.
talking through it, it reminded me, like stuffed pork chops.
Exactly.
The same idea, the same concept. As you start to hear, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the water's starting to bubble.
It's at a simmer right now.
Yeah, so it's starting to do that boil.
And I'm going to put you in charge, Bill, of timing.
Oh, really?
With your little pocket machine
which
right there.
is a good thing.
When we put the pasta in the water.
Because now it's time for us to take a break.
Okay, well, our sauce is done.
Yes.
As soon as we get back from break, we're going to start cooking our spaghetti. And then hopefully in this third segment, we'll be able to eat.
If not, we're going to be eating hard spaghetti.
We'll keep talking along the way. I've done it before, but no, it'll be cooked. But don't touch that radio dial. We'll be back with more Just Cook It, and we'll continue to cook our spaghetti and talk more nostalgic foods and spaghetti and whatever else you want to talk about. So don't touch that dial. Just Cook It is being served up to you today by the Big Barn Country Store and Deli, by Pareca Chiropractic Center, Inc., by 4th Street Barbecue, by the Herald Standard, and on FCTV by Phil Gianetti Motors.
And you're watching Just Cook It on Fayette TV, Channel 77, and also at justcookit.tv. And you're listening to Just Cook It Radio here on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS.
Phil Gianetti Motors at 656 National Pike East in Brownsville is a proud sponsor of programming on FCTV. Phil Gianetti Motors, providing quality vehicles for 45 years. If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, give Phil Gianetti's a call at 724-785-6800 or stop by their website, philgianettimotors.com.
Thank you for watching Just Cook It Radio right here on Channel 77. I am Mario Pareca.
And I'm Bill Alexander. If you like what you've seen so far, you can watch the program in its entirety at justcookit.tv for food, life, and everything in between.
Good to have you back. You're listening to Just Cook It on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS, and also on FCTV Channel 77, and at justcookit.tv. I am Mario Pareca. I'm here with Bill Alexander, Mike Sackley.
Do I have to stand up and do the show now, too, or what?
No, I'm just standing up so that I can see what I'm doing to put this pasta in the water without burning you or me.
Right now, your head's cut off in the video.
Yeah, I can see it. So if you're watching on TV, I do have a head. But
I just realized that.
Our water's boiling. I'm going to add our pasta.
Okay.
If you could set a timer for 10, we'll check it in 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay.
And the trick to cooking any pasta, not just this pasta, any box spaghetti, is you read the box. I know it's a really complicated thing to do.
I know, directions, go figure.
Yeah, you read the box because they all have a time on them that says, and this one says 10 to 12 minutes. So what I generally do is check it at the low end, and then
now,
if it needs to keep going, keep going. And
when you check your spaghetti, and I had a college roommate that did this, he would take a piece out of the pot and throw it at the wall.
Yeah.
And if it sticks, it's okay.
Yeah, I know some people who do that as well. To me, that's unnecessary.
Well, it's kind of fun, but
it is fun. But have you ever thrown a piece, or has he maybe, you've seen him do it, throw a piece on there, and you forget about it, and then you go back the next day, and it's like glued to the wall. Yeah, that's not good.
We had to paint the apartment. We had to paint the apartment kitchen, and you had these little squiggly lines.
Yeah.
It was like it was the decoration that we were embedding.
That's what'll happen. So that's why I don't do that. I just taste it, and if it's al dente, then
I've seen people do it on the ceiling too.
But the
which is
correct
harder
way to
get
do
down.
pasta, another tip, the correct way to do pasta isn't to take your little, we're not going to do that here because we can't, but
Right.
at home, it's wrong to take your strainer and dump your pasta in the strainer in the colander and then put it in a bowl and put sauce on it. That's not the correct way to do pasta. The correct way to sauce pasta is to take it out of the water with tongs or
Right.
something else, so you can, because that water, there's starch in that water, and that's like a pasta stock, if you will, almost like a chicken stock or beef stock, and that's really useful with your sauce for getting the right mouthfeel and the right to get it to coat the pasta. So you take the pasta directly from the water into your pan with your sauce. You fold it together, and that'll actually help the pasta absorb some of
And it
the
won't
sauce,
stick either.
and it won't stick. And then if your sauce is a little thin, you can add a couple spoonfuls of the water, because the starch from the water will actually help thicken the sauce and coat it to the spaghetti. It'll get a nice glossy finish, and it's just, that's the way you're supposed to do it.
I would have never guessed that. I really wouldn't have. As Mario's stirring spaghetti right now. Phone numbers for the program, 724-438-4593 is the local number. And let me see if I can remember our 1-800 number is 1-855-590-0590.
Correct.
I don't have to say them anymore. That's why I have you. I don't have to do that anymore.
Hey, at least I'm good for something here, right? But we should have Mike start throwing out some numbers.
Yeah. What numbers?
Anything. He's so quiet.
Baseball stats?
Yeah.
Steelers stats? I mean, what do you want? I mean, we could do it.
I think he's just hungry.
So are you going to be standing and cooking this while we're talking?
I'm going to sit in a minute. Why?
Okay.
You're really worried about me standing here.
No, I'm worried about my video quality here. People are watching this at home.
Always a producer here.
That's right.
There you go.
Thank you.
You can see me again.
Yeah, thank you very much. As we're watching the water. Now that we're doing it for 10 minutes, right?
10 minutes. We'll check it in 10 minutes.
Okay.
If it's ready, then we can remove it from the heat. We'll put the sauce back on the burner. And obviously, if you're doing this at home, you can do this at the same time, the sauce and the pasta.
You have two burners, yeah.
We have one burner here, so we have to do one at a time. That's why I did the sauce first, so it's ready. So when the pasta's done, you don't want it to sit. Anytime you do pasta and get cold, it will stick together, and it'll just get gummy. So you want to go
I hate
serve
gummy
it. Yeah,
spaghetti.
you want to take it, you want to sauce it, you want to serve it immediately. And another thing about pasta, I salted the water, even though it doesn't say to do so on the box, just because, again, think of it as like a stock. So the way the Italians do it is, or the way I was taught anyway, is the water should have about the same salinity of the ocean.
Okay.
So it should taste like the ocean. That actually helps season the pasta. It's true.
Is it what clean salt water should take like, or after it's been polluted and chemicaled?
Well, I would want to eat my pasta out of clean salt water.
I
don't know about you.
I was kind of worried that when you said the
But
ocean.
another thing, a lot of people always want to put oil in their water.
Yes.
And that's that's false. I mean, that's just a myth.
Well, I got to write that one
Oil
off the
and
list.
water don't mix.
I know.
So all you're doing is wasting your oil.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the best way, if you don't want your pasta to stick, the way you do that is as soon as it's done, you get it out of the water, and then you put some oil on it.
Okay.
At that point, that'll
then
coat
do
it, and it'll
that
keep it from
That makes
sticking.
a lot of sense. I'm looking at the box here, and 1 cup is 250 calories.
That's not bad.
That's not too bad. But the funny thing is they tell me what it is in the box when it's not made.
They all do that. I don't understand why. I'm not going to eat it raw.
Hard spaghetti and seasoning are 200 calories. So the tomato paste is only actually...
So, yeah, if you want to eat it raw, you can save 50 calories.
There you go. But I'm reading through this, and this is probably why I like it so much. The spice mix is made up of onions, salt, modified food starch, monosodium glutamate,
MSG, of course.
soy protein, sugar, spice, garlic, celery, and caramel color, silicon dioxide as an anti-caking agent. I thought, anyway. It mentions sugar.
Yeah.
When you make your own homemade sauce, do you put sugar in it?
It does need some sweetness. I don't use sugar.
What do you use?
I have a secret ingredient. And
you're not going to share that?
Or Well, I would, but it's not mine. It was passed to me from my grandmother, and she made me. She didn't even tell my mother or my aunts this.
Okay.
She just told me.
Yeah.
So, and I made the mistake of telling my mother, and boy, did she get angry at me. Well, not angry, but she was a little miffed that I told my mom because it was supposed to be a secret.
But there's no one. There's no
There's
one.
no one listening.
If you guys
Okay.
swear not to tell anybody, he'll tell you.
Here's my trick, and I did this when I was cooking in a professional kitchen, the #1 city club in America.
Now remember, don't tell anybody.
Listen, I did this to my sauce, okay, because it was my grandmother's secret, and the other professional cooks. Now, mind you, these are guys who went to cooking school, the
Right.
top schools in the country. They thought I was nuts, okay, and then when they tasted it, they all started doing it,
Right.
okay. So one thing that a lot of people add to their sauce, they deglaze the pan with red wine, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you need something sweet to your sauce too, so a lot of people add sugar. Well, I don't want to add sugar to it just because, man,
It's
what's
sugar.
the fun in that? It's
Yeah.
just sweet. There's no other flavor components. So something you can add to your sauce to give it some sweetness but still keep the flavor profile, grape jelly.
Oh, interesting.
It's grape like the wine,
Very interesting.
and it's sweet, so it'll give you that sweetness. Another thing I like to add to my sauce if I'm not using that, something else, my next choice I guess I would say for sweetness over sugar is honey.
I was going to ask you if you would use honey.
Yeah, I've used honey before. But you need some sweetness because tomatoes are acidic, and if you add red wine or any kind of alcohol, that's
Yeah.
acidic too.
Right.
So you need cooking's a balance. So
Okay.
you need that again. So everyone loves the sweet salty combinations, like from my column yesterday in the
Yes.
Herald Standard, the candy corn and peanuts with all the other stuff. Sweet and that's
I was
sweet
waiting
and
for
salty.
samples of that today too. I didn't see that.
We'll have to do that. That's sweet and salty. So you know those contrasting flavors.
Right.
If you have one thing, if it's too acidic, it's going to make your lips pucker. If it's too sweet, it's not going to be appetizing.
Right.
But that right in between, and it's not. Another thing is flat foods, or when I say flat foods, I mean foods that only have one flavor profile, whether it be sweet, salty, bitter, sour. They are uninteresting.
Right.
So you take one or two bites, you get tired of it. And then, it's like, what am I doing here? When I have this big bowl of spaghetti and I only wanted 2 bites, now I need something else.
Right. Now, you made a comment. You and I have talked about this before, and I shared a post with you a couple weeks ago about how honey is good for you. And they throw something else in there with that honey, and it's cinnamon now. That basically, the article I read is it's the cure-all to pretty much everything. Have you read the same thing? I mean, have you heard this? And it's raw honey. It's not pasteurized. It's raw honey.
Raw honey is better for you because the heat from the pasteurized. Anytime you pasteurize something, it kills a lot of the active enzymes. Same thing with milk. Raw milk's actually better for you, even though milk's not the best thing for you to drink. Raw milk has the enzymes in it, as where pasteurized milk doesn't, because the heat kills it when you pasteurize it. But as far as there's no cure-all. Okay, there's no substance you can eat or take or whatever that'll cure everything. But cinnamon is very good for you. Cinnamon is a spice that's very good for you. It's very anti-inflammatory. It'll actually help your metabolism speed up. And it's one of those things. Now, I wouldn't do the cinnamon challenge. We talked about that before, where you actually eat the cinnamon. But cinnamon as a spice added to foods is very good for you. And honey, raw honey, is actually, again, very good for you. It's one of those natural foods. It's foods from nature. When I say is what I mean by natural
We
foods.
need to talk to Michelle Wright again.
And the right stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a plug for her honey. But those natural foods, what we're supposed to eat, like you just read the ingredients in this, the monosodium glutamate, the modified food starch, that doesn't grow anywhere. It doesn't happen in nature. That's stuff that people make in a lab. And I was reading a book, I can't remember the name of the book. It's a popular book. Michael Pollan wrote it. But he has a quote in the book, which I agree with. It says, if it came from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, don't.
Right.
So that's kind of and it's a funny thing these days where, and another saying that people see, when you go into the store, you can get furniture polish made with real lemons and lemonade made with fake lemons.
Yes.
So,
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Is there a disconnect there?
Yeah.
But in any case, we always preach moderation. And, eating some of the spaghetti this morning isn't going to kill you. It may not be the best thing to eat a box every day for the rest of your life. I wouldn't recommend it.
Or for breakfast, but we're going to.
But it's going to be something fun to try. It's something that I don't come across a lot of different foods that I haven't tried, period, or haven't heard of at least. And this was one of them when you brought it up. So it should be fun. And the funny thing is, I went to the Kraft website to look up some information about it. And the only thing I could find about it is, number one, where it's available. Yeah. And number two, the nutrition panel. Yeah. There's nothing else about it.
No.
I mean,
and I'm wondering, maybe we can create this as a cult classic here. That we
it's
could,
very
getting this run on Kraft Spaghetti. And speaking of that,
how's our
we're
timing?
at 10 minutes.
10 minutes? We better try one, eh?
Go ahead. Hot spaghetti.
I prefer my spaghetti hot. Unless it's pasta salad.
And I'm not a big fan of pasta salad.
Try that. Tell me what you think.
Which is
Mike, talk for a few minutes.
Yeah, let me talk while you.
What's up, guys? As they chow down.
I think it's done.
It's done.
Okay.
It's done. So
that was relatively quick.
that was quick. It doesn't take very long at all.
So we're going to put our sauce back on the burner. And I'm going to stand up again.
Oh, yeah, fine.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to slowly reheat our sauce.
Okay.
And then I'm going to add our spaghetti to our sauce.
Now you're going to be able to do that without the sauce overflowing out of the pan.
I hope so. I didn't realize how much sauce this was going to make.
Which is interesting. It's 6 ounces of tomato paste.
Right.
And it's 2 cans of water.
Which is 12 ounces of
12
water.
ounces of water. And it makes a good bit of sauce.
Yeah.
According to the box, it feeds 4, is what they say. Okay, what's it taste like?
It's actually pretty good.
It is.
It kind of gives me like a ketchup-y.
Sort of.
Yeah. Not Heinz, of course.
No,
But
well,
okay, we're going to turn this
can't get
down.
Heinz anymore. I was at Mickey D's the other day.
No Heinz to be seen?
Drove through, got my kids something. We were coming home from the parade, actually. Got my kids something, and they had fancy ketchup. They didn't have Heinz.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is.
And you said that there were only a couple markets?
They said 2 markets that it was in Pittsburgh and Minnesota, which when I told other people that, they go, that's not true, because when we go down south, we see it.
Yeah, I could have sworn I've seen Heinz at other McDonald's
Oh,
before,
I have
but
too.
Hey, it's one of those things. It's a business decision. I think we have a caller on the line.
We do. We can take that while we do that. Just caller wants repeat of secret ingredients in salt.
I only say it once.
Go ahead, Mario. Give them the secret.
My secret?
Yeah,
well, it's
your
my
secret.
grandmother's secret, and she's probably going to disown me for this, but what I use in my sauce as the secret ingredient is grape jelly.
Okay.
And that comes straight from my grandmother, who shall remain nameless, just so hopefully I can have some upper hand in that conversation.
Is she listening to us right
I'm
now?
sure she is.
It probably was her calling to confirm that you just gave the secret out.
But yeah, that's that. It's just like I said. It's that sweetness,
right,
that tames the acidity. And I'm gonna try to add more
spaghetti to it.
And this spaghetti, what's interesting about this spaghetti is it's not as long as
it's short spaghetti.
Regular. Yeah, it's about half the size, which I kind of like.
Now, when you make spaghetti, and this is something that I've always done, even when my mother did as a kid, is when you pull it out of the box, you break it in half and put it in the pot.
Yeah, I usually don't do that.
Why not?
Just because as it cooks, it'll kind of do that on its own, and I don't know. I'm like a purist.
Well,
I don't like
the reason I do it is because I have smaller kids.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
And they can't control it, and then I have to cut it up for them. So it makes it a little
you
bit
do
easier
it
to
for a
cut
reason. I don't really have a good reason of
Okay,
doing
I just
it. So
wondered.
that's basically why. There's no right or wrong way to do that. I mean, that doesn't affect it, all that much.
Right.
So now here's my question to you, Bill. Since you've had this before, you've made it before. It comes with 2 seasoning packets. One is the zesty Italian or the tangy Italian, and the other one is their 100% cheese.
Yes.
Did you put the cheese in the pot with
No.
the spaghetti, or you
I
sprinkle it
I
on
sprinkle
top
it on
after you
top.
serve it?
Same way I normally eat spaghetti, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love cheese. I mean, and that's one thing. And this is going to be the first time I've had this type of cheese in a long time, because when we buy cheese now, it's fresh grated.
Yeah,
Or
that's
we
the best
grate
way to
our
do it.
Yeah.
Now,
But
do you have one of those little crank graters, or do you use a box grater?
I've broken 2 of those, by the way, by doing that.
Your brute strength.
No, it was really hard cheese. I mean,
I use a box grater.
but when I do that, it's my knuckles.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
You got to be careful because that piece gets small.
It's like using a mandolin.
I don't play a mandolin.
You know a mandolin?
No, I don't. Anyway, I know
wanna take
somebody
a
that
break
plays
really
one.
quick?
Yeah, let's take a break
Okay,
real quick.
we're going to
come
take
back
our
to
final
spaghetti.
break. When we come back, our mouths will probably be full because we're going to try our spaghetti. We're going to talk about some other nostalgic foods. And don't forget, you can always call in. We'll throw the numbers out as soon as we get back. But don't touch that radio dial. Just Cook It is served up to you today by the Big Barn Country Store and Deli, by Pareca Chiropractic Center, Inc., by 4th Street Barbecue, and by the Herald Standard.
And you're watching Just Cook It on Fayette TV, Channel 77, and also at JustCookIt.tv. And you're listening to Just Cook It Radio here on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS.
Good to have you back. You're listening to Just Cook It on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS, and also on FCTV channel 77, and at justcookit.tv. I am Mario Pareca. I'm here with Bill Alexander, Mike Sackley, and some plates of spaghetti.
And we're getting ready to eat. This is going to be as effective as a magician on the radio.
Now, don't eat it yet, because we still have the cheese.
Oh, that's right.
You know, you can't eat pasta without cheese.
Well, you can. It just doesn't.
I liked Mike's question. Do we have silverware?
Yeah, no. We were going to do a spaghetti eating contest. You can find that one long one like in Lady and the Tramp and just suck on it until it just goes up.
As long as you're not at the other end of that.
Yeah, right. But anyhow.
But so we have our spaghetti, and it looks like spaghetti. That's the
what
good
else
thing.
would it
mean,
look like?
Hey, this is a first for
it
me.
It looks like on the box. Well, actually, they put the sauce on after the spaghetti.
Right. Well, I like my spaghetti to be well coated.
Yeah. Well, that makes good point.
And
good point.
I don't know why I'm revisiting this because it's just going to get me in trouble. But Bill, you had a good question. How much grape jelly do I use?
Yeah.
About 2 tablespoons. I mean, it's really to taste. So you add it, you taste it, you add it, you taste it, and then once the acidity and the sweetness balance, you don't want to taste jelly. You don't want to taste
That's
acid,
what I was afraid of. Yeah.
But once they're balanced, then you're good. So
Okay.
it just because I don't know how much sauce you make, so I can't say,
So you're doing it to taste.
Right.
And you don't want an overpowering grape taste in
No,
your
not at all.
spaghetti.
Nope. So I'm going to pass around this cheese.
Yeah, the cheese in the little bag.
I was surprised. They really covered all their bases with this.
Other than the tomato sauce.
And here's my next question, Bill.
Tomato paste.
What is Kraft going to give us for all of this?
I think we should reach out to them. I really do. I mean,
so another thing.
As we pass the cheese around the room.
Pass the cheese. Like I said, there's a lot of Kraft in the news this week.
Right.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up, which I thought was a good thing, is the headline of this article is Kraft to remove artificial food dye from 3 mac and cheese products.
And is it the one that we all know, or is it the
It's
shells
not,
and
believe it
cheese
or
and
not.
the other ones?
It's they say it's the kids' shapes.
Okay.
And the holiday shapes, so like the Halloween ones and the other seasonal shapes and the kids' shapes, which would be like the SpongeBob SquarePants ones. But the regular elbow mac and cheese that we're all used to is going to remain the same.
Which is odd, because aren't the other ones based on the original?
Yeah,
elbow?
and that it is odd. It's So I watched a video about this. There's a news site that did a debate via Google
back
Hangout.
and forth.
And so what they were talking about was this mac and cheese. When they take out the artificial colors, they're afraid that the mac and cheese is going to be white and the kids won't eat it because it's different.
I like white macaroni and cheese.
Now, so do I. But here's the thing. It's still going to be yellow. They said they're going to add natural ingredients to it, like paprika and some other things to give it that yellow color. It's not going to be the same yellow, but it's going to be yellow. But if you buy the original elbow mac and cheese, it's going to be the same, like I said. But they also make the elbow mac and cheese in organic form,
right?
Which I eat when I eat mac and cheese, which isn't often. But whenever I have it, I have it the organic stuff, and that doesn't have those dyes in it. So I mean, you can still get it. I don't know why they don't just switch over. And
I mean, maybe they should just do one for those who want it, one who don't want. You want silverware?
Yeah, that would be
You think
nice.
you need this? Yeah.
Do you want me to just drop my face into it? But yeah, so that's and all in all, I think it's a good thing because food dyes aren't a good thing. In some other countries, actually,
banned them.
Yeah, they disallow them to be in their food. So I don't feel comfortable with them in my food.
Yeah,
to be
I mean,
honest.
I can understand that.
And especially for the kids, because the kids, I know they eat the regular stuff, but I think the shapes are more appealing to them. That's who they're made for. I mean,
but the funny thing is, my kids, all 3 of them, don't like the shapes.
Wow.
They like the traditional macaroni and cheese.
Now, here's another nostalgic food. I mean, and I could be crazy, but I remember when I was little, when I was a youngster, my mother making and eating Kraft macaroni and cheese, but wagon wheel shaped.
Yes, I remember
And that
those.
was my favorite. Are they still around?
I don't know, but you're talking about things, and this is nostalgic food, which we should try the spaghetti before it gets cold. Go ahead, try it, and then I'll come back to my thought.
You talk while I try, and then I can talk while you try.
We were talking, my wife and I remember this as a kid. You guys are familiar with Lipton soup, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. They had something called giggle noodle. They don't make giggle noodle soup anymore. And it was it was a shape. It was like a little smiley face, and it was giggle noodle soup, and you can't find it. You can find the traditional Lipton soup with the small noodles. You can find everything else, but you can't find giggle noodle. That's my new quest, I think. After I did the Kraft spaghetti, it's now giggle noodle soup.
Giggle noodle.
What do you think?
It's actually pretty good.
It is good.
It's not. like we were saying before, for something that's whipped up that we literally made in, 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
It's not bad. If I was making sauce at home, well, I'll just cut to the chase. My sauce is better.
Right.
But for something you can whip up on an afternoon for the kids
I was going to say for lunch.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's like mac and cheese.
It is.
I mean, and I'll tell you what.
Convenience.
The funny thing is, being a chef and doing all the cooking I have and all the different mac and cheeses I've had in my life, different variations, different sauces, classical ways, nouvelle ways, the way I've made it, Kraft mac and cheese is still my favorite.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't even taste like cheese, but it's got the butter and the milk and that salty orangey whatever it is. Powder
and like
it's
you,
just
I
good.
could eat a whole if I make it and don't tell anybody else. I could eat the whole pot of
Kraft
it.
mac and cheese. Oh, absolutely. That's easy. I mean, eating the whole box is nothing. I don't do it, and I don't recommend it.
No, I don't recommend it either. But still,
and the funny thing is, when we go on vacation, there's a lot of kids that come, like my cousin's kids and things, and they always buy a couple family-sized boxes of Kraft mac and cheese for the kids because when we're eating, if we have like seafood or something, the kids won't eat it, so they make them mac and cheese. Whenever they make the mac and cheese, I always eat most of it.
Mac and cheese,
yeah.
But again, this is good, and again, this is exactly the way I remember tasting it. So those memories of being a kid at home, flashing back.
So your mom used to make this?
My mom used to make it instead of my grandmother.
Okay.
This was my mother and dad. The way the story goes, and my dad and my grandmother's listening to this in Albuquerque. She'll kill me to telling this, but I'll tell the story anyhow. My grandmother never heard of Pittsburgh because they lived in New Mexico. She's from Montana, South Dakota, lived on that area. And when she found out that my mother was dating someone from Pittsburgh, she didn't know what to fix him. So she decided she went to the store and bought spaghetti. My grandmother doesn't like her sauce, so she bought Kraft spaghetti in a box. This was in 1962, 63. And this was the first meal that my grandmother made my mother and dad when my dad met my grandparents for the first time.
So it has some meaning.
It has some meaning
That's
to it, yeah. So and I keep hearing about it, and we used to call this my grandmother's sauce.
Well, like I said, my parents, once you brought this to my attention, I asked them if they've ever had it, and neither one of them have ever had it because
they come from Italian families.
Right, we're Italian, so my grandmother and my grandfather, and they still do for the most part, used to and still make sauce every Sunday.
Right.
That's like the Sunday family meal. Now my grandmother not so much anymore, but because she's getting older and there's not as many people around anymore. Right. So, but my grandfather to this day still, and he's 93 years old, makes sauce every single week.
And I met your grandfather, and he does not look 93 years old.
No, he does everything himself, and he still cooks every single day for himself.
We need to bring him out to the mall next week.
We should.
He can do the cooking segment.
He's the original Chef Mario. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where I started cooking because when I was young, I would go stay with. They would babysit me, and I would cook with them. Yeah. And he taught me how to make sauce, and he taught me how to make all kinds of different things. So the one convenience food I remember eating at their house, which would just be like for lunch if they had like a doctor's appointment or something where they didn't have time, was the ramen noodles. Yeah. Because another thing we would have a lot is soup in my family, and it was almost always homemade soup. And they'd make a big pot, and if you make a big pot with a good base, which is what they would do, like a really good rich stock or broth, you can add anything to it and turn it into any soup you want.
Exactly right.
So, if you make a big pot of chicken stock, a really rich, flavorful stock, you can make bean soup one day, you can make vegetable soup the next day, you can make chicken noodle soup the day after that. So that's what they would do, and how they have all kinds of little different shapes. I can still remember, they still have them, little mason jars with different shaped pastinas and noodles and things, and they cook it in the soup, and that's what we'd have for lunch.
Can you buy ramen noodles other than the packages of soup they make? Can you buy them?
You'd have to go to like an Asian store, like in the strip district.
I've never seen them before.
Yeah, the ones that come in the little packages, what's interesting about those is they're pre-cooked. They're cooked, and the gentleman who made them found out a way.
Nissan, isn't it?
To cook, what's that?
Nissan is the game.
So he found a way to cook the noodles and cool them really quickly to the point where that's why they cook so fast. They're cooked, but they're not actively, cooked in the package. They're preserved, and they're that hard brick that you're used to. And the latest trend going around now lately, which I'm not a big fan of, is the ramen burger.
I've seen those.
They'll take two of those squares of the ramen noodles. Butter them, sear them,
Yeah.
and then put a hamburger in between those as the bun. Those will act as
It's
the
a
bun.
clever
and they'll eat it.
idea. I don't know how good it is, but
Yeah, well, now the funny thing is, ramen noodles, what makes them different from spaghetti is ramen noodles are alkaline. So they add alkalinity to the
Okay.
pasta. So what that does is it helps them, when you put them in broth, that helps them keep their shape. If you put regular traditional spaghetti into a hot broth and it sits for an X period of time, it'll eventually start to get mushy and
Makes sense.
dissolve. Ramen doesn't do that. So if you get homemade ramen, okay, and you eat homemade ramen, perfectly fine for you, body digests it, goes
Okay.
through everything. That stuff at the store you buy, it takes your stomach an average of 2 hours
Oh, wow.
to process that, and even when it does, it's still not fully
Probably
broken
not.
down, and then you get rid of it. So, again, moderation, because
Yeah.
it has MSG
Yeah,
in it too,
yeah,
in that
a
little
lot of MSG,
package.
yeah.
Moderation, but if you can get, they even make organic ones of those, believe it or
I'm
not.
sure. I'm
and
sure. They
my
make
mother
organic for
finds
pretty
them.
much everything. Yeah.
And they're not bad. They taste almost identical, and I make them, and I like to season them up a little bit. And one of my favorite things in ramen, eggs.
Eggs. Oh yeah.
Either soft cooked or scrambled.
Scrambled it. So what did you think, Mike?
That was worth the 3:30 a.m. wake up.
Was it really?
Absolutely.
Are you awake now? He does look more awake.
More away. It's good. I mean, again, it's something that I remember as a kid. I didn't think they made it anymore, and they still do. And you can
Spaghetti
find it in
for
the area,
breakfast.
from what we understand.
Well, yeah, if you go to Kraft's website, they have a product finder. And
Oh,
you can
really?
actually type it in, and there's one place in the Uniontown area that carries it.
Is that the one that we've talked about before?
It's the one, it ends with a mart and starts with a letter, not a word.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, I didn't
So
know
a letter
that.
in the alphabet.
No. So in other words, you're saying Kmart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Comes after J. Yeah. That's where they have it. According to the Kraft website, anyway.
And they also have it at the Walmart in West Brownsville too. So
That's where
there's,
you found this.
If they and someone else mentioned they had it at Peachins too. So if you're looking for it and you want to try it after watching the video and everything else, please do. I mean, it is different, and
Yeah.
More stores may be carrying it now since we started this new Kraft spaghetti in a box.
The resurgence.
craze. Yes, they may be contacting us trying to figure out what we did.
And the funny thing was, just to bring it all together around the show off, when I was doing my research again, I was reading about a Kraft product and Kraft story, and at the end they put almost as addicting as candy corn Oreos.
I believe that. I believe that.
It rounds it all off.
Yep.
But that's all the time we have, and we have more spaghetti to eat.
Yeah.
So we're going to get going, and we're going to eat our spaghetti. But I want to thank you for listening, and don't forget to give us a call. You can call us around the clock at 855-590-0590. Leave us a message. Tell us about what foods you want to see us make, what foods you remember growing up, what your favorite foods are. And any parting words,
Nope.
gentlemen?
Other than we're on TV next Sunday, and we hope to see everybody at the Uniontown Mall.
Yeah, that's November the 10th. Be there, 2 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
Starts at 3,
showtime,
but
yeah.
you should be there at 2. Make
2.
sure you grab a seat. You
You
can
can-
grab some snacks or
You can
whatever.
talk with us and everything before and after.
So we look forward to seeing you there, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week right here on Just Cook It at 9 a.m., as we are every Saturday, right here on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS.
You have been listening to Just Cook It Radio with Mario Pareca and Bill Alexander. For more information on this program and how to download it as a podcast, go to justcookitradio.com. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please call us at 1-855-590-0590.
This has been a $1 Million Baby production.